Where better to start a new season of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo than the Autodromo Monza. We are here for the first of two races to kick off the 2021 season. Some familiar names, both in terms of drivers and teams in Super Trofeo. Some new drivers, some new teams as well. One thing remains, and that is that it's going to be an ultra-competitive season. The sun is shining, it's a cool day, even though it's a sunny day, and the cars making their way round onto the grid. We've had the qualifying session earlier on in the day, standalone. Session 1 is the grid for this first race. The second session sorts out the grid for race 2 tomorrow. And it's the same format as ever it was. A 50-minute race, mandatory pit stops between 20 and 30 minutes. If you're doing the race on your own, you stop for 93 seconds line to line. If you have a co-driver, it is 90 seconds from the pit in to the pit exit line. And there you can see the grid starting to take shape. And this is the view on the way down to the Parabolica, heading up towards the grid. There, of course, the cars will remain for a few moments as we get the build-up for the rolling start, and then we will be underway. David Addison along, delighted to say, with Emanuele Pirro for this first race. And Emanuele, a wonderful circuit, Monza, and the Huracan, a wonderful car. Oh yeah, for sure, and a jolly good afternoon from an Italian from Italy to you and to all the viewers. No, it's great, Monza. It's a wonderful circuit full of history. Of course, one thing is missing the spectators, but this will only make it look better next time when this is true. The grandstands are full. Now, these cars are remarkable. We'll come to the technicalities of them in a moment because they appeal to both amateur racers and to the career racing driver. But let's go down to the grid first of all. Gemma Scott is there with Stefan Finkelman from Lamborghini.
Stefan, it's wonderful to be back here in Monza. It's 5 years since you last raced here.
Yo, let me tell you that I'm very excited to be back. Yes, it's more than 5 years since my last race with Lamborghini. I'm a motorsports fan, so I really missed the guys, and I missed to be on the racetrack together with them. Here in Monza, we have a grid of 30 cars, so it's excellent. Let's cross fingers that everything is going right this season, also due to the pandemic. And I'll tell all the people here, break a leg for the season and all the best.
It's so impressive to see so many cars.
Yeah, 30 cars really for one make race series, our Super Trofeo of Lamborghini. This is incredible, and this is only the European stint, so the European races, and therefore we are very happy and blessed to be back.
Thank you very much, Stefan.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
So thumbs up, all smiles from the grid. Emanuele, a word about these cars, because they appeal to the gentleman driver, the amateur driver, they appeal to the younger driver, the career racing driver who wants to make a career in GT racing as well. It's a good mix of people we have on the grid.
Yeah, I wish you started with an easier question, but this is the challenge. And I think Lamborghini got it really spot on, because this is, in one way, it's a category to give the opportunity to people who are not professional and who are probably at a slightly later stage of their age and they want to fulfill a dream. But it's a launch category for people who want to make it into the motorsport world. There's a young driver program that we carefully follow. So you have to design a category that really fits for both. And I believe this is quite spot on. Of course, the youngsters are in the top of the field, but as you know, and as you have many times explained, there's not only the pro category. This is today's motorsport. There's the Pro-Am, the Am, and the Lamborghini Cup. So there's room for everybody's talent.
Indeed so, yes. And everybody has a chance of winning something. If not the outright race, you can aim for a class win. Now, one of the drivers that is going to be well worth watching in this is Kevin Gellardoni. He's on the front row of the grid, talking with Gemma.
Kevin, down here on the front row, it's a nice run down to that first corner. And of course, you've got a completely clear track ahead of you. How are you feeling for the start?
Yeah, Leonardo did a perfect qualifying. I struggled a little bit, but we are confident for the pace of the races. So we have a long straight at the start, so everything could happen, but I think we are in a good shape and we will push till the end because it's just the beginning and we want only get better race by race.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Ciao.
Kevin Gellardoni, the runner-up, in fact, in last year's championship, and that is a car that we cannot miss. The Oregon team with all the bright colours, it stands out, Emanuele.
Yeah, there's a lot of not so discreet interpretation of the let me say beautiful shape of the Lamborghini Huracan. But talking about the juniors, because really the older I get, the more I care about young drivers, and I also help Raffaele Giammaria for the young driver program, and we have a briefing every day trying to guide them into becoming a better driver, and this is really rewarding and challenging. And today we were facing different personalities and trying to tell them that for those who really have the potential to make it, that it's important to win the war and not to win the battle. And we have been, I have been young, and sometimes you think about short term, but those who really want to make it have to think about the broader picture and bring the championship home.
Sure. Now, you've raced these cars. Are they easy to drive? Are they difficult?
No, it's a relative concept, difficult or easy. All these modern GT cars, including GT3, are effectively designed for people with a big variety of talent. There's a lot of electronics, ABS, traction control, so they should fit different talents. And the Lamborghini Super Trofeo is a really fast car, so it's a car you have to be spot on and careful. You cannot really treat it like a saloon car.
Yeah.
But it's not difficult. It's not difficult. ABS helps a lot. So a lot of the challenges in old school racing, which is how to feed the brakes and how to optimize the braking, preventing the lockup, it's covered by the ABS, which is a big help. There's also a good electronic for traction control that with this power it's quite helpful. So it's not easy. It's not difficult. It's not difficult at all. But of course, thank God, even the easiest car is able to differentiate the very, very good to the quite good, to the average, and to the not so good, which I hope motorsport will never lose this characteristic.
Now, presumably, as well, you have told all the drivers, certainly the young drivers, about the importance of that first chicane.
Absolutely.
Keep out of trouble.
Absolutely. Monza, it's a tricky circuit, and a lot of people have cried here, and a lot of people would have liked to push the rewind button to just do something different. Well, we can remember Ayrton Senna, who missed the 16th out of 16 victory of the McLaren that I actually developed throughout the year, because he collided with the back marker on the first chicane. But what is good about different circuits is that you have to have different talents, especially the guy in front. They were quite worried about the first chicane, because actually here, in some places you can be careful, and when you're careful you have a lot better chances to make the first corner. But here you have a lot of threats even from behind, and sometimes trying to be too careful and being a little easier on the brake on the first corner, it can lead into more trouble.
Okay.
So not easy. I don't believe in luck, but sometimes you are also victim of circumstances.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Well, the grid is formed. The countdown is almost done. We've had the 3-minute board, so the engineers leaving the grid at the 1-minute board, which I think we've just now got to. The engines fire up. Those last mechanics you see flee from the grid. Ray Calvin is there, the Canadian driver in number 10. He runs in the AM competition. You have have, as we've made the point, the Pros, the Pro-Ams, the AMs and the Lamborghini Cup for those with much less experience, but it means that you've got 4 races within one. Everybody has something to fight for, and the choice as well is there as whether you want to have 50 minutes on your own or whether you have a co-driver. It helps to bring down the costs, but it reduces your track time, and it's often fascinating to see a car with 2 drivers and to see whether it is faster in the first stint or the second, depending on who drives, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. This is why the rules give 3 extra seconds of pit stop for those who don't leave the car, because then you are on top of the game, you know the car, so you have a little advantage. Notes from the driver's briefing: race director says he would like to give a start relatively fast, because the more you wait, the more you pack up the cars, and you can create a problem on the first corner. But he would like to have 2 rows, 2 lines quite well in line, let's put it this way. So let's see if the drivers can translate these guidelines, dash orders into reality.
Let's have a quick look at the grid. The front row is Karol Bash lining up alongside Leonardo Pulchini. Glenn Van Berlo is on the second row with Noah Watt and Matteo Michelotto and Dan Pell on row 3. The fourth row is Alberto Di Folco lining up alongside the Dutch driver Max Weering. Milos Pavlovic, part of the Lamborghini family for many a year now, lines up on the 5th row with Maxime Ouston for company. Then Kevin Rossell and Andrea Kohler come next, ahead of the Hong Kong-based Brit Dan Wells and Ray Calvin alongside him. Bronek Formanek has Raffaele Giannoni alongside. Then you go back to Massimo Celia and Gerhard Watzinger in number 70 on the next row of the grid. Number 63 is long-time Lamborghini racer Laurent Geny, who shares with Cedric Lima, and Pierre Feligioni lines up alongside him. One-time Formula 3000 racer Claudie Gosselin starts number 4, and the British driver J.M. Littman is aboard number 65. Next up, the attempt to run car of Holger Hansen. Hans Fabry is at the wheel of the Imperiale Racing number 88 entry. Then experienced driver Olivier Freimuth and the Sri Lankan Dilantha Malagamua on the penultimate row of the grid rounded out by Luciano Crivitello and the Indian driver Prabhakaran Kumar. That then is the order.
Pretty good, David, for the Italian pronunciation. A little room for improvement, but actually quite good.
I'm trying. Yeah, I try a bit more. So that is how they line up. And as I say, many of those are shared cars. Karol Bash with Andrzej Lewandowski on pole position. And you can anticipate that Karol Bash will do the lion's share of the work. Keep your quicker driver in for as much as possible, of course, to give you that advantage.
Yeah, we have to say the lineup of drivers this year is a very, very high quality. Really, we were talking to the juniors, and this year the one who shines is really shining very highly. Yeah. So that's good. That's very good.
Now they get themselves in that Noah's Ark 2x2 formation, ready for the start. Just going back to what Emanuele was saying about the race director's instructions for certainly Monza, the race director is Alain Ardon, who is the regular GT World Challenge Europe race director. Daniele Galbiati, Super Trofeo's regular race director, suffering poor health at the moment, and we wish him well and look forward to seeing him back in the Super Trofeo.
From my side as well. So
Daniele, our thoughts are with you, and it'll be good to see you back. Right, we're set to go racing. What a sight, Emanuele, coming into the Parabolica.
They appear to be quite disciplined, but he said no stop and go and no like elastic, which somebody was doing, but more to warm up the tires and actually to build a gap. So it looks quite good. Actually, it looks very good.
Indeed, indeed. So the white car on pole position is that of Karol Bash. The multicolored car from the Oregon team, their familiar colors, Leonardo Pulchini on the outside of the front row, the Dutch driver Glenn Van Berlo on the inside of row 2.
I expect the start right now.
Indeed.
Well, not really.
Well, the start is at the end of the pit straight. You've got the finish line out of the Parabolica. The start is further down the pit straight.
Yeah, but the start is with the lights, which is actually late. I have to say, this is not what has been said, and there are some issues, especially people going beyond the line. Fingers crossed.
Indeed so. Well, out of all of that, Karol Bash takes the lead. Now there is this sharp intake of breath. Is everyone getting it through safely? No, because there's contact there in the middle of the pack as I think Dan Pell got involved, number 33, tapping the tail of a car in front. They wriggle their way out of the Rettifilo for the first time. So Karol Bash leads the way. Out wide there goes number 2, which is the shared car of Sebastian Balthazar and Noah Watt. Noah Watt at the wheel, and there, damage already, all of that from the elastic effect going into the first chicane.
Yeah, let's hope the tire is not damaged, otherwise you have to stop and change it and the race is over. But pretty good, considering the difficulties, considering the rust everybody has.
So there in the background you see others bouncing wide out of the chicane.
There's a Urus for this surface, which fits better.
Into the first of the two Lesmo curves. Right,
oh
three wide in the
no,
pack.
this is not so wise.
Oh.
Holy sugar.
They survive, just about, just about. So out of all of that, trying to get away up front is Karol Bash from pole position. And despite everything that's going on, they've all got away with it so far. Having dropped back a place then, Leonardo Pulchini from the front row of the grid. Glenn Van Berlo is a man on a mission as well as they come then through the Variante Ascari for the first time. But Bash in the lead, getting away. And of course, they're trying to push hard here on cold tyres.
Yeah, this is an extra challenge. It looks like sunny, but as you said before, the temperature is rather low on the area of 15, 16 degrees, which is not ideal for the tires in the first lap, but is very ideal in the last laps.
Yeah, indeed so. Preservation and all that. Number 44 goes through then. That is Alberto Di Folco, very experienced Lamborghini racer. So at the end of the opening lap, Karol Bash in the white car leads the way. Glenn Van Berlo is second. In third is Leonardo Pulchini, and Alberto Di Folco, who started 7th, is up into 4th place already as they come into the chicane. But a really good first lap for the Polish driver there, Karol Bash.
Yeah, he was a very good karter, and you know, one more time, once you're good in karting, car racing, it's not that difficult. There's a lot of very good people. Also, I lost him.
Who are you looking for? There is Glenn Van Berlo.
The Dutch driver.
Oops, there's another one rally crossing in the background. Dan Pell is another of the quick Dutch drivers.
Yes. Yeah, he was very fast in qualifying, although he didn't complete the lap. But where does he stand?
He dropped back because he was involved in damage at the start.
Exactly.
He got into the back of Di Folco. It's Di Folco's car that's actually got that rear damage. So he's up into 4th place despite the damage. And 33, yes, Dan Pell is down in 26th place. That's why.
Yeah, because he was asking quite a lot of, in the pit, sad. But he was very interested in you know, how to do the start and how not to screw up, but it didn't work this time.
Not this time. He has another go tomorrow. Start procedure under investigation. Interesting. And Alberto Di Folco's car then. There it is, the red car, 4th place, but you can see the damage, see that little bit of smoke coming from the back as Mattia Michelotto is behind him.
Sometimes if the rubbing is not that big, you know, the bodywork wears out, the tire wears out a little bit, and you can survive. So big smoke doesn't always mean big damage.
Sure.
You have to wait a lap or two, and if the smoke reduces, then it's fine.
So nervous times for Di Folco for the moment, and of course that smoke depends where the load in the car is, doesn't it, on which part of the circuit, where the load goes. There he is, into the first of the chicanes. The Rettifilio hanging on to 4th place. 5th behind him there you can see is Michelotto. Now let's have a replay of the start, Emanuele.
Yeah, I think race director was not happy with the cars being in line.
But a good start by Bash. And then keep an eye on this next shot as they come down to the braking zone, because you'll see up against the pit wall side of the grid, have a look, people go for a bit of real estate, but then Concertina under braking, Dan Pell, bang, into the back of Alberto Di Folco, and others up the escape road even, look.
Yeah, that was a lousy move. That was a lousy move. Normally, what you tend to do in the first braking is wait until the one in front of you brakes and brake a fraction later, but if the 3 guys in front of you think the same, then you're in trouble.
And this is how it looked on board then. So you'll see cars fan out all the way across the road, 3, 4 abreast. Of course, this is your golden chance to try and gain track position. So everybody goes for it, down to the chicane. And then suddenly there's just nowhere to go. A wall of Lamborghinis ahead.
It's a trade-off, you know. The Dr. Jekyll inside of you tells you to be careful. The Mr. Hyde tells you to try hard. Yeah, but this is the beautiful thing of motorsport.
Absolutely. Now, there is a drive-through penalty being given to Bronek Formanek for being outside the track limits at the start. So penalties coming already. It's all been looked at. Karol Bash, in the meantime, is doing a really good job. Look at this. He's building the gap over Glenn Van Berlo in 2nd place. 3 laps done, and he's already over 3 seconds clear. That's impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. He runs for Sospiri VS Racing,
yes.
and they are very good. Vincenzo Sospiri was a great racing driver, and now it's a great team principal. And you can see.
Yes, I can remember standing in the wet at Alton Park watching Vincenzo have his first Formula Ford 1600 win a long, long time ago.
He won the Formula Ford Festival.
He did.
Which is, well, in Italy, sadly, is not a very well-known event. But for those who understand motorsport, it's a big achievement.
That's right. He drove for the redoubtable John Village in Formula Ford, and he was a real star in Formula Ford 1600, was Vincenzo. Now, as Emanuele says, concentrating on team ownership, team management. Good battle going on here. Number 7, Kevin Rossell, and on his tail is the recovering Noah Watt, who was up the escape road early on. So number 2, Noah Watt, whose father, Jason Watt, former racer, of course, got to Formula 3000, had a nasty motorbike accident, was left paralysed, came back into sports cars with the specially adapted Penos, for example. And Noah is taking the fight to Kevin Rossell here. So that's building up nicely for 8th and 9th places. And that is Alberto Di Folco.
Yeah.
We were hoping the tyre would last, and that's the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to sound pessimistic, but normally the outside of the tire, if you want to damage, you want to damage the one on the inside. But yeah, and I don't think he had anything to do with that. So tough luck.
Indeed, and not only has he had a slow lap into the pits, now there is the pit stop to do this tyre change. It will cost him a lap to the race leader, because while they're doing this pit stop, so Karol Bash goes through, so Alberto Di Folco was 4th, now he's a lap down.
Yeah, in this situation, you wish for a safety car in the right time, but
There speaks a Le Mans winner, knowing all about long distance racing. Right, there, 41, Glenn Van Barlo. He's in 2nd place then, still pushing, but he's 3.6 seconds back. No surprise, Karol Bash has done the fastest lap of the race. In 3rd place going through, Leonardo Pulchini, and these 3 clear for the moment of the opposition.
There's a little bit of tire management now, because you have to make sure that the tires are in good condition at the end of the race. And a little bit of just mechanical management, you know, pace management, because if you do a little mistake and you hit the curb, it can be a problem. And this circuit, it appears relatively easy because there are not so many corners and not so many fast corners, but it's a very tricky circuit. Precision is paramount here. Precision of braking, precision of turning in, not kill too much speed in the chicanes. I've never been that good here because I always like fast corners, so it's been a little bit frustrating for me. Lesmo 2 was a beautiful corner. We should ask to your and my friend John Watson, who had a very spectacular crash in 1981. If he's listening, I would like to say hello, because I always listen to your commentary in the GT races.
Thank you.
And but the new Lesmo is a slower corner, but the Parabolica, what we are watching now, is a one-of-a-kind in the world corner, because it's made as a parabolic shape. Although now with the tarmac runoff area, you tend to make it a little bit more round. But basically, the corner opens up. It's not really appreciable in TV, but in reality, the corner opens up. So you pick up speed, and you open the steering wheel, and you're fighting for the grip for a long way until you hit the straight. In normal corners, what happens once you hit the outside, the corner is finished.
Bold effort there by Noah Watt. Late on the brakes, just about gets away with that. That was untidy.
For me, this is really good. Really good. Both were wise and pushing the envelope to the extreme.
Sure.
This is good racing. This is good racing.
Now, the incident on the first lap, Dan Pell into the back of Alberto Di Folco, that is being looked at by the officials. This battle that we are looking at now, Noah Watt up into 8th place at the expense of Kevin Rossell. He shares with Jonathan Cecotto, one of the 2 sons of Johnny Cecotto, Grand Prix driver, touring car racer, of course. And there you can see now Rossell trying to break, sorry, you can see Noah Watt, I should say, trying to break away from Kevin Rossell. The lead gap, Bash to Van Berlo, is still hovering around the 3.5–3.7 second mark, as Noah Watt is a little bit ragged up onto the curb there.
Yeah, Johnny Cecotto, we have had a few sparks together because we raced in the same time in touring cars. And always admired him very, very much. And his son is a very, very good driver and a good guy. And he's is a Lamborghini driver, but Jonathan is a very, very good driver. It doesn't appear to be son of Johnny, because Johnny is a very hot temper and Jonathan is a quiet, nice guy, but no, good blood, good blood.
Yeah, his dad, of course, was a star on two wheels as a motorcycle champion, then into car racing, and of course, for a time, teammate to Ayrton Senna in Tolman before his accident at Brands
He went
Hatch.
straight into Formula 2 from bike racing, which is a remarkable. Then after the accident, he went back to touring car racing, but he was still an excellent driver. We were teammates in BMW. Not best friends at the time because, of course, everybody wanted to win, but good times, Johnny.
The halcyon days of the European and the World Touring Car Championships, the long-distance style of touring car racing. Now, back to this fight going on for second place. Leonardo Pulchini out-qualified Van Berlo, but he hasn't yet been able to get back onto terms to try and make that pass for second place. Is he waiting for the pit stops, I wonder?
Leonardo Pulchini is a single-seater driver who switched to, let's say, close cars. And he doesn't have a lot of experience, so and he's a wise guy. So I don't know whether he's waiting or just driving the best he can. But it's a relatively new environment for him, and I think he's doing really, really well. Because as we said, and this is not marketing, but the level is really, really high of the top drivers. So it doesn't come easy, even for somebody who has been a top runner in single seaters, to come here and show them how they should drive.
Yeah, he was in the Italian GT Championship last year, so he has some experience, but that was a different specification of Lamborghini compared to the Super Trofeo car. The guy that will take over, Kevin Gellardoni, second in the championship last season. So he perhaps is the guy that will do what we call in English the hard yards. He will have the work to do to bring the car into the mix. Now, Karol Bash's car that leads the way is from Pro-Am. So he's the Pro. Andrzej Lewandowski that will take over is the Am. He's a quick driver, but he's not as quick as Karol Bash. So that might bring that leading group closer together after the pit stops.
Yeah, absolutely. Pit stop is quite, I mean, we will talk about it when the time arrives, but it's quite critical to be spot on, because you have enough time for the driver change, but not to lose time with the time slot that you have it's not super easy. So you have to be a little careful, because we would say later on, but if you cut it short within 1 second, then what you cut short is multiplied by 3 as a penalty. If you overshoot it by more than 1 second, so if you are less than a second faster in the whole operation, you are in trouble, because you have to show your car through the pit lane to the whole field at the slow speed.
The walk of shame.
Yes, the walk of shame.
Yes. So the pit stops, and of course there is no escape, because they are timed by the official timekeeping. The time comes up on the timing screen. Everybody can see it and can point if you are under the 90 or 93 seconds. 90 if you are two drivers, 93 if you are on your own, because you have that advantage after the pit stops of knowing what the track is like and what the car is like. That's the reasoning behind that. So there is the race leader, Karol Bash. Interesting that he's not getting away too much. It's a 10th that he has gained over that last lap, so he has an advantage. He has the lead, but it's not too big.
I would imagine that he wants to keep the car in good shape for his teammates, his teammate. And what is the point of building too much of a lead? But still, it's a hell of a lead, and it doesn't come easy to be that quick. So this can be the reason, or the others, they found a little bit more speed, because not to forget, this is the first race of the season, and rust is not applying only to iron, but also to human being.
So the more time they have in the car, the rust comes off, the quicker they go. Now, look at this. This is on board with the second place driver, Glenn Van Berlo. Just talk us around Monza, if anybody.
Yeah, this is really good to have some onboard shots, because unfortunately TV is a wonderful tool, but it doesn't really make you appreciate the speed and the difficulties. Let's see how the car moves a little bit. They look very stable from outside, but every race car from inside is really on the limit and moves around. Then you you of course go wide and hit the curb and use the space you have, but then the car gets a bit upset. These cars have a lot of power. We should mention that the performances of this car are in line with the GT3. They are really, really, really fast for a single make championship. So it's not easy, and you. For instance, now we are looking at Ascari corner. Ascari is really a beautiful corner. Very, very, very difficult and very easy to get it wrong. And a lot of people cried at the exit of Ascari because you want to turn in and, of course, apply the throttle as early as you can because there's quite a long straight afterwards. But spinning the car on the inside is quite easy, and it's not a nice story to tell your friends afterwards, so tricky.
Now, good battle going on here. There you have the AKF motorsport car of Oliver Freimuth, and he's going to lose out, is he? Because diving up on the inside goes Massimo Siglia, and he's gone through in the Oregon car.
Very good.
Busy part of the racetrack, this. Everybody trying to attack and trying to defend. Looking forwards, looking in that rear view screen.
But so far, I've only seen wise moves, you know, no crazy moves, and let's see, breaking into you know, normally when you attack somebody and you are that far off on the inside, let's say the two lines tend to collide.
Yes.
It's I was expecting, you know, some sparks, but thank God it's okay. It's okay. Now let's see what they do on the braking. The right-hand side of the track is less bumpy, so people tend to drive there regardless. You can see the marks on the left side quite bumpy. He makes it.
That's Holger Harmsen going ahead of Freimuth, and then the next car in the queue, number 4, Claude-Yves Gosselin. Very experienced driver, Claude-Yves, from Formula 3000. He had a spell in FIA GT for Paul Belmondo's Chrysler Viper team. And there he goes through the Curva Grande in 20th place right now, Claude-Yves Gosselin, as we are only 2 minutes and a bit away from the pit window opening. So you can expect the slower drivers to be in first to give the quicker driver the longer time. Vice versa in the case here of Carole Basch, who will carry on for as long as possible, trying to stretch that lead. But actually, it's been reduced a bit from 3.8 down now to 3.6 seconds between the top two. So there is Carole Basch, the Polish driver, across the line. In the background, you see Glenn Van Berlo and Leonardo Pulchini not being able to stay on his tail. Still, that margin is there between those two cars.
He wasn't very happy with the front end of his car. He was complaining a little bit of understeering. So again, as we said, you know, a race distance it's a new experience early in the championship, and you really want to know the car, the track, and how the car balance develops through the race. Superficially, everybody tends to evaluate the drivers and the speed of the cars out of qualifying, but you have to reproduce the same speed for a number of laps, and the result is not always in line with what you see in a single lap.
No, that's true. Well, Pulchini is pressing on, keeping that car in the mix, but if you put the next drivers in, Kevin Gellardoni will take over this car. Ahead of him, Glenn Van Berlo will be replaced by the very rapid Mexican driver, Raul Gutzman, who's thankfully recovered from that rather nasty accident at Spa, but brought out the red flag in the second race before the 24 hours last year and delayed the start of the main race. Raul Gutzman back for another season. They should catch up to Andrzej Lewandowski in the leading car, because he is not as quick a driver. As I say again, he's the AM. So these two, second and third on the road, should become the two cars battling for the race lead after the pit stops. And there you can see drivers getting ready. How difficult is it to do the second stint in a race? Somebody else has started, you're into a car that you just don't know, and you have to go flat out instantly.
I wouldn't say difficult, but it's a different ball game, because making the start, you build up your speed, you warm up the car, you don't jump into an unknown situation. But at least we had in endurance racing, what counts is the last stint, especially if you have a neutralization of the race. Normally, when you have a good feeling with your teammate, with the car and everything, you just go and I don't want to say the car drives by itself, but this is the stage of knowledge you should reach when everything is ideal. but also you have a sense of responsibility, especially both if your teammate has been particularly good or particularly bad that you have to catch up. You have to have you feel a sense of responsibility, and if you're lucky enough to build a good bond with your teammate, it's a wonderful way of racing.
Yeah, as you evinced for so many years at Le Mans, for example. Into the pits has just come Kevin Rossell, number 7. Now, he's in early to give way to Jonathan Cecotto. So Jonathan takes over number 7. It's going to be really interesting now to see where that car is. It's fallen back into 13th as the pit stops now start to cycle through. There's the leader then, Karol Bash. Having said that the gap was coming down, it went up again last time to over 4 seconds, the biggest it has been. Cecotto gets on board number 7. Now, it's up to the 2 drivers to sort out the belts and to plug in the second driver, but it's up to the team to control the time and release the car at the right moment.
Correct, David. The criteria is to have 1 minute of stop, and then the time added the length of the pit lane at the pit speed. So here it just turns out to be 30 seconds, which is a round number, but not always like this. But the car has got 1 minute, and 1 minute it's a long time. Yeah. So you don't have time to smoke a cigarette, which I don't like anyway, but you have enough time to make sure everything is properly made, and even to just get into the concentration for a few seconds before you have to shoot off.
Well, that was very scrappy indeed, because that was the second place man, Glenn Van Berlo, trying to get past Jonathan Cecotto, who just came out of the pits and getting it all wrong under braking for the Rettifilo chicane. So he's been up the escape road. That brings Pulchini just a little bit nearer to him. Cecotto is on the circuit then, fresh out of the pits, but you can see the commitment from Jonathan straight away. He is absolutely charging along, and that has now brought Pulchini back into the game for second place.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can go straight, but you cannot. You have to make sure you don't gain an advantage. In my world, you should lose because going straight is a mistake, but today's rules, they accept if you don't gain an advantage. And this is why there's this polyester chicane build. Otherwise, it would be difficult to control.
Yeah, slows the cars to go through that zigzag, So Karol Bash leading the way there. Now look at this car, Jonathan Cecotto. He's a lap down because of the pit stop, but now we'll see what
he's he's a contender, so we can see really how his speed fits into the picture of the leader. Actually, this is a very good indication we can have.
Oof, very wide there was Cecotto out of the Variante Ascari, disappeared, came back into view, but we need to start, not this one because he's out of the pits, but the next lap time will give us an idea as to Jonathan's pace relative to the leading cars. He's joined in a phony second place. He's sort of running second on the track but a lap down. So where is Karol Bash? There he is, that's the leader, goes through, and that last lap was a 1 minute 48.6. Jonathan Cecotto onto a flying lap now then, his outlap completed. And where is number 7 running? He's down in 20th place then, but look behind for second and third. The black car, Glenn Van Berlo, third on his tail, Leonardo Pulchini, who is close, but not close enough to make an attack for second place yet. Noah Watt, 7th, and as the pit stop cycle through, Dan Wells up into 8th place. Another very quick young British driver, Dan Wells, who's made a good career for himself out in China and the Far East, racing out there. So as the pit stop cycle through, bear in mind we're talking about 90 or 93 seconds. It's very nearly a lap, and that's going to affect the order accordingly. 23 blasts over the line, that being the VS Racing car of the Malaysian Prabhakaran Kumar, VS Racing Vincenzo Sospiri's team. So there is Cecotto, still running in this pretend second, if you like, on the road behind the race leader. And Pulchini, he's not really being able to stay on the back of Van Berlo. That gap's just creeping up a little bit.
He might be complaining understeer because he had the speed, and actually his qualifying lap was not ideal. But, you know, whose qualifying lap has always ever been ideal? So
what was that last 10th to find? Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the second stint. Raul Gutzman to take over the black car, number 41, the second of these 3 that you're looking at. Kevin Gellardoni to take over the multicoloured Oregon car. Drivers ready, staring at the pictures, looking at the timing screens, looking at the data, looking at where their car is in the order.
But also in the TV, because even the TV as a driver, it gives you an idea of the circuit grip and what to do and what not to do. So you want to see a little bit of the TV picture before stepping into the car. Let's see Cecotto.
He's just done the car's best lap, a 1:48.659. That's 9/10 off a Karol Bash lap, and now Jonathan gets caught up in traffic because they're released ahead of him. Look, was number 54 out of the pits, so that is the car now of Milan Tikans, almost in the way.
Actually, Karol Bash last lap is 48.8, and his best is 47.8. And Cecotto's last lap and only lap is 48.6, so he's actually and effectively in this very lap 2/10 quicker.
But he's being badly held up here. Look, he's got to try and get past this back marker who's just joined in, so fresh into the race, number 54 Milan Tikans, and now Jonathan goes through, but he lost a bit of time there, having to fight a way through.
This is part of the game, and endurance racing, one of the reasons why I really liked it, especially the short races, the 3-hour races, you have to make your way through traffic, and this is as important as your own speed.
Sure. So Karol Bash, fastest lap of the race, 47.787. Jonathan Cecotto's first flying lap, a 48.659. So as I say, he's not on the ultimate best of Karol Bash, but they're comparable now because Karol Bash also is having to cope with the traffic. Number 70 comes into the pit lane. That is Gerhard Watzinger, who will stay behind the wheel of the car, the American driver. He's a soloist. So there is Cecotto. Look, and again, Glenn Van Berlo is the one now being a bit impeded in the traffic, having to fight his way past 54, as in comes the race leader. So this very important pit stop now for Karol Bash. Cecotto gets his lap back. And there, look, Van Berlo staying out, but that back marker trying to unlap himself. Not the ideal situation, so frustration for Glenn Van Berlo in second place. Right, in comes Karol Bash, and the team goes to work. Lewandowski in, Karol Bash instantly helps his co-driver with the belts, with the cables. So
I like when drivers buckle up themselves, because in some situation it's the team, the mechanic, but I think it's a good gesture of camaraderie to help your teammate just making the belts.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask for your opinion here on Milan Tikans in this green and black car. He's a lap down, but he's not getting out of the way of these quicker drivers. Now, is he aware that he's a lap down? Is he being shown blue flags to say, get out of the way of the quicker drivers? Should the team not be telling him? Because he's certainly affecting the pace of Van Berlo and Pulchini, who can't get past him.
Yeah, it depends on the championships, because in Formula One, as a lap guy, you have to vanish and disappear.
Yeah.
In America, you are fighting for position in every situation of the race. So it really depends on the guideline of the championship. But the longer the race is, and especially if you have a pit stop and a change of driver, the more those who are one lap down might be into the race and fighting for better position. So different opinions.
Indeed. But if you had your driver stewarding hat on for this, you would say...
depends on the guidelines, because the rules they don't really specify this, so it really depends on the guidelines. As I said, in Formula One, they are very, very strict.
Sure.
I'm not 100% in line with this, because I think those who fight for worse positions, they still have their right to try their best.
Fair point. Well, to get out of the traffic into the pits come Van Berlo and Pulchini. They had to come in now, really, because the window is about to close. So they've been impeded for a little bit of a lap, but they're into the pits, and that might give the advantage to others. We'll see at the end of the pit window. But it's all building up really interestingly, this, for the last 20 minutes after the pit stops.
Yeah, absolutely. Just prior to the pit stop, it's really essential to deliver quick laps, because this can then mean a position when you fall back into your correct place.
Interesting there, you were talking about drivers helping their teammate. Leonardo Pulchini out of the car, walks away, so lets the team do the work.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably talk to him. I just think it's good, and also you show, how to say, camaraderie in a way. I always like to do the belts of my teammates and vice versa.
There you see it, Glenn Van Berlo strapping in Raul Gutzmann. So, where is the leading car? It is 16 there. No, that's 23, the sister car, apologies. It is 16, Andrei Lewandowski, that led before the pit stops. 23 is some way back, because that is the slower of the two, Prabhakaran Kumar. There is 16th. That is now Andrzej Lewandowski. So the car led overall, but significantly, of course, that car is after the Pro-Am honours. Yes, it wants an overall win if possible, but the Pro-Am situation is what really counts. So we have there into the race Gutzman and also Gellardoni, and they're going to rejoin. Look, with there Lewandowski just ahead, so it's going to be really close now for the remainder of the race. And Lewandowski late on the brakes, makes a mess of the chicane. He gets back on, but that was very close to the edge. He's going to be unlapped there. And look, Gutzman is going to strike on the run up towards the Curva Grande, so Lewandowski is about to lose that race lead.
Yeah, he was lucky to give back the position, whether he chose to give it back or it just happened accidentally, but otherwise he would have been penalized.
So now it's game on, as we say. So the white car, number 16, Andrzej Lewandowski, just ahead of 41 of Raul Gutzman. Kevin Gellardoni not staying with them, interestingly, in the Oregon car in 3rd place, but there's a back marker ahead that they can't get past, and the race leader is under attack. So Lewandowski now finds a lot of hard work to do. What does he do? Concentrate on the back marker to overtake, or concentrate on trying to keep the 2nd place car behind?
This is why Mother Nature gave us 2 eyes and not only one. There's a reason for everything.
Except they both look forward. He needs one in the back of his head as well. Down to the Variante Ascari. So just hanging on to this race lead. What a battle we've suddenly got.
Yeah, wonderful. What is important is not to lose your temper. It's easy to just really lose your temper and do something that you will regret. Race is never over, and as we said before, you can lose a battle. You got to look at the war. But Cecotto is keeping going fast. Or quite fast. And now let's say 1 minute and 30 seconds after the pit window, then it means all cars are back into their positions, because all cars have done their serviced their pit stop, and so the ranking now is realistic.
It is, and it means that white car, Lewandowski leads, but to the inside line goes Gutzman. Do they touch? Looked like they did, but Lewandowski just survives that. There is the delayed Gutzman in 2nd place. Kevin Gellardoni is in 3rd, but he's still got a back marker to find a way past. 4th now is number 6, which is Lewis Michael Durbecker. 5th is 61 Max Wearing. 6th is Sebastian Balthazar. Jonathan Cecotto is 7th then, and he's nearly 15 seconds down on this race-leading battle. But if they carry on squabbling, carry on fighting, they're going to delay each other.
Yeah, thank you very much for having invited me to comment or co-comment such a wonderful race. It's really cool. And normally, 3/4 of the way through the race, the positions are settled, but this is just like lap 1, basically.
Yeah. But the longer these two hold each other up, the slower they will go, the better that is for Cecotto. 14.7 seconds back. He's lapping in the 152s at the moment, because they're all in traffic.
Yeah, this is traffic, yeah.
Yeah. So there, actually, Andrzej Lewandowski, as an amateur, he's a good amateur, but he's doing a good job here of keeping Gutzman behind him. He's not made mistakes under the pressure, other than that one at the chicane that we saw with the back marker.
Yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't appear to be super relaxed. So it's always good to have the onboard camera, because the perspective is different. And that is a very brave maneuver.
So off the parabolica, Gutzman with a tighter line. That's a pro car versus a Pro-Am car. Gutzman lines up then on the inside. He should get it done.
Yeah, he should get it done. He's on the inside, and it's very tempting from Lewandowski to try to outbrake him, but it's also quite tricky to do, because also he's on the bumpy side of the track. Very wise indeed.
So Raul Gutzman, a good return to racing this, because the accident he had at Spa last year, and he hurt his tibia quite badly. It was a very spectacular accident, and he now leads the way. Now, Andrzej Lewandowski 2nd, but still leading his class, so he will get points for his individual championship, which is still important, of course.
Yeah, indeed. The accident in Spa was the one where Cecotto was also involved.
That's right, yeah.
Very unfortunate accident.
Coming down past the old pits. Now there, look, through the traffic has just gone Kevin Gellardoni, but he's lost a couple of seconds to the race leaders. In 4th place is Lewis Michael Durbecker. And then Max Wearing is 5th. Cecotto's up to 6th. Now, when we last looked, he was nearly 15 seconds back. He's now nearly 13 seconds back, so he's making a bit of progress. He's catching up. But there, look, Cecotto, 4th of these cars. He's got to get through all of this traffic.
Yeah, but, you know, he's got a big name.
So it'll be easy.
He's got a big name.
Come on, Jonathan, live up to it, live up to it. So he's got alongside the first of the slower cars, and that is 61, Max Wearing. So he's about to go 5th then on the outside line, heading up towards the Variante Ascari. Wearing on the inside, hangs on to the place there. The black and gold car, Max Wearing, the Dutch driver, just fends him off. The green car, back marker, that is Hans Fabry. So a battle here to get through the traffic.
Beautiful racing. And what is good, actually, if you have the chance to start from a worse position than your speed, then you learn how to be a good racer, which is it's a good opportunity nowadays, you know, because besides being a good driver, being a good racer helps a lot.
Sure.
And a balance between being wise, smart, but taking chances is not easy. And you should use this opportunity, Jonathan.
Well, he's gained 5th, so over the line he comes, and 14.5 seconds. A bit delayed getting through the traffic on that lap, but yeah, a great racer spirit from Jonathan Cecotto, pushing all the time.
Yeah, they're now dealing with tires, of course, not at their best. And also setup-wise, you know, you might set up a car which is performing better with not so good tires, or vice versa. There's a lot of fine-tuning in every category, and this is Lewandowski?
It is Durbecker, who's in 4th place. So this is about to change, isn't it? So back marker, first in the shot, 4th, 5th together. So Michael Durbecker, Jonathan Cecotto, nose to tail, and the change for 4th place is about to happen. Jonathan is all over him, trying to force a mistake.
I hope for Jonathan that he didn't take on board his father's temper.
I thought you said he was a cool guy.
With all due respect for both of them.
Every confidence. Right, here they come, up towards the Variante Ascari. Jonathan to the outside line, though. Durbecker able to defend.
He might get a better run because, yeah, maybe if he doesn't have to lift off now, if he had a little bit more gap, he could have built a good run out of the corner. I think this is a lesson he learned, because when somebody's blocking you at the entry, you back off a little bit, so you get the momentum for the exit.
So he didn't attack at the Parabolica, but the move at the chicane starts now, doesn't it? A good run off the Parabolica, try and get up behind and now plan that move down.
Yeah, but
to
these
the
cars,
chicane.
they all have a very high top speed, but very similar to each other. So 285 kilometers per hour, very, very high speed. Oh no, Jonathan!
Into the back of the car of Michael Durbecker. He goes up the escape road, and is that a punctured tyre for Durbecker? It's certainly got some damage. Looks like a puncture, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'm afraid that tap in the tail, a punctured tyre for the car that was 4th. So Jonathan Cecotto will gain a place, but that's a really disappointing way to end what was a good battle between the two, and it was not that big a touch, but just enough to puncture the tyre. And Jonathan's still in trouble as well. Up the escape road at the second chicane. Oh dear.
Yeah, exactly. Oh dear.
Right, now Jonathan Cecotto then heads through the Lesmo curves, but that car not looking as good as it did.
Let us see. Lousy. Yeah, he can only learn from this.
Yeah, for sure.
And I believe, and I hope, and I believe he will go there and apologize.
But the real shame for Michael Durbecker, because he was braking for the corner and he ends up effectively out of the race with that punctured tyre. Now, this is the race leader. This is Raul Gutzmann. 10 more minutes to go. The time has gone very fast in this race, but Gutzmann is doing a good job. Target Racing car, the Mexican, then leads the way. Lewandowski still second. And then it is Kevin Gellardoni in 3rd place. So there's the leader going through. 10 minutes are on the clock. 2.5 seconds clear, but the battle now is 2nd and 3rd. That gap's coming down. Gellardoni catching Lewandowski. Into the braking zone, turn through the right, turn through the left. And Andrzej Lewandowski, who represented Poland in the GT element of the motorsport games 2 years ago. He's been a class winner in the championship, class winner in the Lamborghini World Final, great event that it is. And Kevin Gellardoni, well, having said that the gap was coming down, he looks like he's dropped back ever so slightly there. So Lewandowski really doing a great job here. For
those who are listening to us, it's pity that you're not seeing David, because with his hands he's really giving a lot of help in understanding the gaps and then who is who and whatever. So next time you want to have a camera on you to do even a better job. Thank you for that.
Well, lots of dust there, and who's that? That's not the leader, is it? In the gravel, is that Gutzmann?
Oh no.
It could be, because that is a car. It is the leader that's gone into the gravel way out wide. And what has happened there? Raul Gutzmann.
It's more than the gravel. It's something else.
Something's broken,
it's something else. Yeah.
Sitting low on one corner.
It's something else.
So the race leader, all of a sudden, has got a big problem.
Yeah, the left rear somehow looks like a puncture. Looks like a puncture.
So let's have a look. This is coming through the corner, and it goes out wide.
Yeah, the problem is before he actually went off because of a problem.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this is on board.
Very clear. Yeah, poor him. How do you say in your neighborhood? Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yes. So what that gives us now for the race lead, again, is Andrzej Lewandowski, and Kevin Gellardoni is behind him. There's a yellow flag shown there at the first chicane, possibly because of Durbecker's car further up the road. 8 minutes on the clock. What a race.
What a race. And it's a privilege to stay here and share it with everybody at home. Thank you for listening, guys. Motorsport it's a good sport.
Absolutely, and this is a great race because it's full of drama. Another car with a punctured tyre, you see there stationary. So punctures becoming a thing. We've seen one with contact, but now Gutzmann, another car stationary at the first chicane. You talked about tyre management, Emanuele. Now we're seeing the effects of not looking after the tyres.
Yeah, correct. What is good in any sports event is the unpredictability, regardless of the spectacle, the speed, and anything. You know, it's good when you have to stay glued to the television until the end, and this is actually happening here.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's another English saying it's not over until it's over, or it is not over until the fat lady sings, the operatic equivalent. And then we have more yellow flags now.
To finish first you have to finish.
Indeed.
Oh no!
No, it's amazing. You
now remove your hands from the pocket and just show.
You ask and it happens. You ask and it happens, Emanuele. So, whatever you require, it is doable in this modern age. Right, 8th place, number 3 going through. That is the car of Petar Matic, very wealthy businessman cum racer. And there, in 27, is Guillaume Beyer, who's currently running in 9th place overall. Right, Lewandowski is the man currently leading by 1.7 seconds, 6 minutes on the clock. If he can hang on to that race lead to the end, it will be a great result for him. A Pro-Am to beat the pros, that would be something.
Absolutely.
Now more dramas possibly down at the first chicane. You see the late braking, of course, as Emanuele has made the point. Tyres not at their best anymore. They're going through is number 54, which was that marker that was a little in the way perhaps earlier on, Milan Tikens, but concentrating on his race, of course. And that car now is in fact, 4th place, so it was worth him persevering, as there, look, with a bit of trim hanging off the back, 61, Max Weering goes through.
Yeah, the positions are not settled still, so really good.
Absolutely so, as with 5 more minutes still to run. Pro-Am being led by the Lewandowski Bash car. What about the next class to look for? 63, I think, is the leading Am. Cedric Lima and Laurent Geny. And the leading cars from the Lamborghini Cup we'll get to in a second, because right now, up to the Variante Ascari, that gap is coming down for what's become 3rd and 4th places. Max Weering ahead of the Maxime Houston and Milan Ticon's car. Number 2 through, that is Noah Watt, now replaced by Sebastian Balthazar. That's 5th, so still battles, but there's your leader. That's Lewandowski.
Cedric Leimer is will be collecting the SC V12 Essenza, the car I'm responsible of, just after this weekend. He will be the first person to collect the car, and this is the circuit-only car that Lamborghini has developed for very, very special customer.
Oh, okay. And he's been racing Lamborghinis for so many years, hasn't he?
820 horsepower, and this is a really, really cool car. So just a day after tomorrow, it will be we will be delivering the car to him. So I'm looking forward to.
There he is. Yeah. There's the AM Cup leader. So it's going to be a good few days if he can have a class win or 2 class wins and then his new car. So yeah, lucky guy. But he's been a mainstay of
everybody who is racing here is a lucky guy.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
It's such a privilege to be a racing driver. You know, unfortunately, it's not for everybody. And to race in Monza with such a car, even if you retire on lap 1, it's still a privilege.
Well, there are some drivers with hard luck stories, and they bounce back tomorrow for another race, as we have 3.5 minutes to go, and lap time currently just under the 2-minute mark, so at least 2 more to go. And Andrei Lewandowski, the race leader, by nearly 2 seconds, getting away from Kevin Gellardoni.
I'd like to say something about Guzman, because with his unluck, you know, he was good enough to park the car on the escape road, so he could have just left the car on the outside and cause a safety car. And this is something to be noticed, because not everybody is thinking about that. So he went on and he parked the car in a safe place to enable the race to go on, and I think we should mention this.
Yeah, it is a very good point to have that presence of mind to park the car properly rather than impede the race. It's good thinking and not a selfish driver attitude, which is good to see as well.
Correct.
Now, Jonathan Cecotto is still going, but falling down and down and down the order. So clearly his car picked up damage. And somebody else with a puncture going over the line. It's one of the Oregon cars. Now, is that Gellardoni? It might be, because his last lap was a slow one. And that's another car with a puncture. I'm trying to see a number on it, but it's, I'm afraid, going to have to pull off at the end of the pit straight. It is Kevin Gellardoni. So that's the second placed car out of the race with a puncture with just over 2 minutes to go. Wow.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's a shame when you work so hard and oh no, don't do that.
Now, does that suggest that they're hitting the curbs? Does it suggest that there's something on the road that they've run over? Because we're getting more of these punctures.
It's always the left rear, which is the tire working the hardest. So maybe it's a combination of tire pressure, camber, not being on top of the setup as well as you. Normally it shouldn't happen, but yeah. At the end, racing with some retirements, it's a better racing because we got spoiled. Another
one with a puncture. Now, don't tell me that's the race leader.
No.
It is Lewandowski, the VS Racing car there with a puncture.
But this is the right.
On the other
this
side.
Is the right.
Yeah, but that's the race leader. So the top 2 on the same lap, effectively, both with a punctured tyre. So Lewandowski, with a minute on the clock, has to limp on to the very end. So that now means this is the race leader, Max Weering, out of nowhere, as it were. He comes through. He'll get one more lap out of the race. Look after those tyres, Max.
If you have to use an example of to finish first you have to finish, you pick this race.
Yeah, absolutely.
You pick this very race.
So there are the yellow flags because of cars stationary up the road. One more lap. Max Weering leads the way. Behind him is the Maxime Houston Milan Ticon's car, and then for third, the green and black Sebastian Balthazar entry. So they've been nowhere really for the bulk of the race. That's a little harsh, but they've not been part of that leading battle. Now they're 1, 2 and 3 on this last lap. Full of surprises, this race.
I enjoyed it, and if ever you need a co-commentator next time, I'm very happy to join you.
Well, clearly you bring good racing. This is the replay of the tyre going down on Lewandowski's car.
Might have been a hit, because normally, not normally, the tire that works the hardest by far here in Monza is the left rear. So you normally you're not very hard on the right rear.
Well, there is number 61, Max Weering, who has done the race on his own for the Johan Krahn Motorsports team. So that means, of course, he made a slightly longer pit stop by 3 seconds because of being a solo driver.
But when you are alone, you also work a little better in tire management because it's a very altruistic business to race with 2 drivers. You have to really look after the car, and you don't want to shine yourself, because otherwise, and this is it's not an easy art to learn. So if you're alone, whatever you do, you pay for it.
That's true. That's true. Well, there's one more corner to go, and it is going to be a race win for number 61, Max Weering, who comes then now into the Parabolica. He turns through the right-hander. He's on the power. The checkered flag awaits. What a way to start the Lamborghini Super Trofeo for 2021 at Monza. A win for the Dutch driver Max Weering. Second up towards the line is going to be Maxime Oesten and Milan Tikens, and then third, having dropped back a little bit actually on the last lap, Sebastian Balthazar and Noah Watt. And fourth is going to be this driver who will win in the end in Pro-Am by survival in a way. Dmitry Kvyatsa comes through, the Russian driver. Not the ultimate pace, but he's there at the finish. That's what counts.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably for tomorrow they will do some changes in the cars or in the pace, whatever. But what a good racing, what a good racing.
Fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so much drama. It's a shame in a way that it was bad luck for people or problems that made their race have not such a good result, but it gave us lots of action to talk about. And still, they race on. Look at this, 1, 2, 3 in a line down towards the Parabolica. Cedric Lima going for a class victory, getting right onto the tail there of number 3, which is the Milos Pavlovic Petar Matic car. And as they come up towards the line, also keep an eye on number 4, Renaud Coupens alongside Lima for the class win. It's a virtual dead heat between the two of them, but as they broke the timing beam, Renaud Coupens was ahead by 22 1/1000ths of a second. So
but the finish is early.
It is, but on the line, Coupens was ahead just by 22 thousandths of a second. So he takes the class win away from Cedric Lima on that timing line just at the last minute. So poor old Cedric caught up in the traffic, Renaud Coupens up the inside. And there, the AM Cup decided.
This is why he bought himself the SC12 V12 Essenza, in case the race doesn't go the way he wanted.
His consolation prize, yeah. So how about that? We say it was a good race, and the AM Cup 8th and 9th decided in a virtual dead heat, 22 thousandths of a second, the margin on the line. Wow, great racing.
We were. Yeah, I was a little bit laughing and smiling, but this is very serious racing, and we have to say that, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. Let's see.
So there is Cedric Lima. He gets caught up in the traffic, and Renaud Coupens up the inside. Here comes the timing line. Now, look at that. They're virtually level. 22 thousandths of a second, the margin. Amazing. From another angle, Emanuele. There's the flag, and Cedric Lima just misses out. Unlucky.
Yeah, I guess the throttle pedal has been squeezed in a way that it's second to none.
Through the chassis.
More than the brakes. Congratulations to many people. Few regrets tonight. Few lessons learned, and by all means, we witnessed a very enjoyable race.
For sure, absolutely. And Max Weering, let's talk about the race winner for a moment, because he kept out of trouble, looked after the machinery, and it paid dividends. He is the man that wins the race. Great drive.
Absolutely, absolutely. He collected something on the rear wing, some part or wire or whatever. Yeah, what I like in some categories of motorsport is when you see the cars suffering somehow. This is, you know, the long races.
Yeah.
It's an effort. It's good to see the cars suffering. It's good to see the drivers sweating. It just appears and shows that it's not like drinking a glass of water, you know.
It should not be too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're the top 3 heading into the pit lane. So Max Weering on his own, doing the race as a soloist. The timing screen actually never updated about Maxime Oesten becoming Milan Tikens, so we just need to check that was a double driver entry. But yes, there is the second driver. So through comes Milan Tikens to congratulate his co-driver, and so that clarifies that for us. And there, Max Veering. It's a 1-2 actually for the team, for the Dutch Johan Crown Motorsports team in the end, a 1-2 finish. As there, Maxime Ooston. We've got class winners as well, so it's a very busy Parc Fermé area.
Well, Monza, normally the podium it's something very special, you know, with all the people invading the racetrack. I once not retired. I just stopped on the in lap in a Formula One race just prior to pit entry, and I saw this large number of people coming to my car. Not really to me, but you know, I was on their way to go and celebrate the winner, and I really thought, oh my God, I want to disappear. Where is the eject? Because it's really scary.
Oh, the passion for motorsport in Italy is quite exceptional, it has to be said, and no wonder that Monza has this great heritage, great reputation, and normally a great atmosphere, and we look forward to that returning as the world returns to normality.
We can't say we never appreciated the spectators, because we always did, also in football, but this pandemic showed us how important is the public for a sports event in any sport.
It's true, very true indeed. But what's also encouraging is, and we've talked about it in the context of other races this weekend, despite what the world is going through, how strong the entries are. 28 cars we've had in Lamborghini Super Trofeo, 43 in the GT3, 47 in GT4. Amazing grids this weekend, despite what everybody's going through and how businesses and sponsors are being affected. So, Max Veering is the race winner. Let's hear from him about a really bizarre race. He's with Gemma Scott.
Max, we can't see the smile behind the mask, but it's definitely there in the eyes. That race was so exciting for us to watch, and for you driving there, I mean, just an incredible race.
Yeah, I'm really happy about it. I'm driving in my own, so I have to stay 3 seconds longer in the pit lane. Everything went quite well. I only have a small damage, so that forced a little bit of the downforce of me in the front of my car. But it's quite okay, and I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with the first place. The race pace was okay, and yeah, that was the reason why I could get on the first place. So perfect.
Absolutely, lots and lots of changing right at the last moment.
Yeah, there happened a lot on the track. Also before me, I had to. It was difficult to don't get in that the damage, but it was quite okay, and I'm happy with it.
Absolutely, go celebrate. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can tell the smile is there, can't you? Really happy driver Max Veering, his first win in Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and the winning margin in the end, 0.3 of a second. We talk about classes being close, but even for the outright, only 0.3 of a second at the end of 51 minutes of racing. So Max Veering takes the race win from Milan Tikens and Maxime Ooston, with Noah Watt and Sebastian Balthazar taking third. Andrea Kohler and Dimitri Gvatsa fourth, ahead of Dan Wells, with Oscar Lee as the co-driver, Massimo Siglia and Guilain Vea sixth from Milos Pavlovic and Petar Matic losing out at the end. Eighth on the line, Renaud Coupens with Cody Gosselin ahead of Cedric Lime and Laurent Geny, and then 10th, number 66, the car of Josef Zaruba and Bronek Fomenek, that had to have a drive-through penalty early on, so that car compromised but recovered. Jonathan Cecotto in the end, way back in 16th, but there is another race to go tomorrow. Let's see how he fares in that, and others hard luck stories as we've talked about, with damage, with punctures, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that second race. Replay of the highlights of the race itself, the opening race of the championship. That good start made by Carole Bache, but the incident in the pack here that did for Dan Pell, the aggressor, and Alberto Di Folco, who got that whack in the back, and they're up the escape road trying to avoid it all. Noah Watt, so he fed back in. That was the bodywork rubbing against the tyre for Alberto Di Folco, but ultimately meant a puncture. Wasn't the last, of course. Jonathan Cecotto busy battling. There on the inside, Noah Watt dive bombed the Cecotto Kevin Rossell car, picked up the place as they went into the first chicane, and there were plenty of good fights all the way up the order. 88 being Hans Fabry busy battling as there after the pit stop, Jonathan Cecotto tried to force a way up past Milan Tikens, the two of them leaning on each other coming into the second chicane. And of course that defence by Tikens turned out to be well worth it, because the car took second position. Into the pits, the race leader, Carole Bache, to give way to Andrei Lewandowski. In at the same time, Bernd van Berlo and Kevin Gellardoni and Leonardo Pulchini, but neither car would finish because of punctures. That was off the road, Andrei Lewandowski. And another car that wouldn't finish because of punctures. And there you see some contact as Raul Gutzmann got into the side of Lewandowski, gained the position. Late race, punctures aplenty, drama aplenty too. And there, Jonathan Cecotto trying to make his way up the order, but having inherited the race lead, Raul Gutzmann off the road. That gave Lewandowski the lead back, but he didn't survive either because of a puncture, and Kevin Gellardoni had already suffered his problem and puncture and retirement as well. At the checkered flag then, a race win for Max Weering ahead of Maxi Muston and Milan Tikens. And how about this? Renault Kuppens on the line, just jumping ahead of Cedric Leimer, 22 1/1000ths of a second being the margin between those two. So hopefully we'll have an opportunity to see the podium in a moment, or the prize giving. The drivers will be called forward, and in fact they're going to use the Monza podium after all. And with the top three across 4 classes, it means there's a lot of drivers that are brought forward onto the podium. It's not the work of a moment to orchestrate all of this, but I think the drivers already given their trophies, so really this is for the purposes of the photographs, and a special feeling, Emanuele, being on that podium.
Yeah, it's a little strange because actually receiving the trophy, it's a nice thing, but whatever, what counts is the result that you bring home. And yeah, many people smiling, some people regretting, but this is the way it is, and probably some of the punctures might have happened because of small contacts between each other. Especially Lewandowski, the right-hand side probably was a contact somehow. But this is why a championship is worth more than a single race.
Absolutely. It comes back to your point about winning the war, not the battle. So there, the drivers on the podium. National anthem of the winning team played for the Dutch squad of Johan Cruijff Motorsports. That is then the top 3 on the podium. And some of that contact that Emanuele refers to, of course, great racing for us to watch. Frustration if the contact results in a serious issue for the drivers. So the winners quickly get together photographs for Lamborghini's purposes, and then they will make their way from the podium.
And afterwards, we sit down with all the members of the Young Driver program to go through the race and you know, learn from your mistakes or other people's mistakes, and just grow.
So race 2 tomorrow, Max Weering, one of those young drivers, not necessarily from the Lamborghini Young Driver program, but a young driver per se. Very impressive drive to take the race win, looking after the machinery, as we said, and Max Weering victorious. Right, the classes come next, and they're the drivers. As I say, we have the Pro-Am, Am and Lamborghini Cup, so they collect their trophies, stand on the podium, and again, under normal circumstances, one of the beauties of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo isn't just what happens on track, but there's this great social side off track, where normally you're allowed to have great hospitality with family, with friends, with your rivals, and it's part of that community that Lamborghini is able to make.
That's a very good point. You know, part of racing is also the enjoyment you have off track, and the hospitality area is a special place that collects, you know, the people and polarize, and you mix up, and it's good. And another good thing is the different nationalities. You know, the world is becoming smaller and smaller. You know, it's good to socialize with people of different nationalities, and it's a very cosmopolitan community with a common denominator: happiness of racing.
Absolutely. All enthusiasts brought together, and we look forward to that time returning to. So the Pro-Am drivers, Andrea Cola and Dimitri Gvatsa, make their way off the podium. And another race to look forward to for them tomorrow. The regular double-header, 2-race format for Super Trofeo, which finishes, of course, as part of that World Final weekend at Misano at the end of October, where, again, all things being equal, the Asian Championship and the North American Championship will come over. They'll have their final rounds over Thursday and Friday, and then the Saturday-Sunday element of the weekend is the World Final itself.
A beautiful happening.
It is,
a really beautiful happening. Great atmosphere, all the circuit for Lamborghini. It's a great time of the year.
It is, and we hope that the event will go ahead unaffected. As now out come the Am drivers, rather disappointed for today, Cedric Lima and Laurent Genie, but they will, certainly in Cedric's case, things are looking up on Monday when he gets his new car. And Renaud Coupens and Claude-Yves Gosselin will be the drivers for the top step of the podium. Both of them regular GT racers over the years. There with the dark glasses, Claude-Yves Gosselin fixing his face mask, and Renaud Coupens, the hero of the hour, really, because he was the guy that won the class right on that last run, not even at the last corner, the last few inches of the race. Shades of the 1971 Italian Grand Prix, that great slipstreaming battle, right to the top step.
Yeah, Peter Gethin.
Peter Gethin winning it, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had the privilege to know him quite well, and he actually said he punched the air because there was no official timing and electronic timing. He said this was a way to make the officials believe that I was the winner, even if I wasn't. Peter Gethin was a hell of a person, really nice guy.
Well,
oh my goodness.
It was a great race for that Grand Prix. A great race from the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and there is more to come tomorrow. Thanks for your company today. Well done to Max Wearing for a great race win. And for now, from Emanuele Pirro and David Addison, it's goodbye from Monza.
A cominciare dal terzo posto dove scende la tripla SF Racing Team con Leonardo Pulchini e Luciano Pulchini. Il terzo posto è per loro. Lamborghini Chapter, the third place is for them. Vanno a togliere il trofeo, vanno sul podio. Il secondo posto invece